Hey everybody, this is Rick De Luca, and I'm here with my friend today.
Selyna Ball with Copper State Appraisal Services.
So a lot of people obviously have this question about what's the difference between the appraisal and the inspection. So when someone's buying a house, the two things that they typically have to pay for upfront, regardless if they end up buying the house or not, is the appraisal and the inspection. So what is the difference between the appraisal and the inspection?
Yeah, I think a lot of the confusion first begins because we both call it an inspection. But in general, a home inspector is going to be looking at safety, health concerns. They're looking into plumbing and electrical, and they're getting in your attic. Versus the way I like to explain it to my clients is that an appraiser is just doing a walkthrough. So it's a walkthrough of the property. A lot of times I say I just need to take pictures of all the rooms, go into the interior, exterior, and measure. So in general with real estate, the GLA, or the square footage, as a lot of you say, is a big indicator of value. So confirming the actual square footage of a home is very important. So measuring is a big thing. Taking pictures of all the rooms. And why do we do that? We're not looking at the electrical. We're not trying to document any of that. What we're trying to do is show a lender and document the overall conditions of a home. So is there deferred maintenance in the sense of there's a hole in the wall, or the smoke detector is not hooked up? And what does that mean? It's all observable deferred maintenance. I'm not poking my head under a sink. I'm not poking my head or messing with electrical panels. The way I like to explain it to people is I'm almost acting as a party of a buyer and a real estate agent. So what I mean by that is when I'm walking into a property, I'm thinking in terms of what is a buyer seeing? They're looking at the overall upgrades. Ooh, this bathroom is remodeled, or the flooring, it's all, hardwood flooring. And then from a buyer's agent, I'm thinking in terms of, oh, that might be something that we want to look at because I see some ceiling stains that look old, or there's chipping and peeling paint. Maybe that's something that we discuss. So it's more of just the observations that are made from a seller or from a buyer and from a real estate agent representing them.
Okay, yeah, that's got a lot of good information there.
Yeah, sorry, totally went off.
Let's kind of break some of that down. So obviously the inspector, they go through, they test the outlets, they test the electrical, they check the AC. Obviously you really don't know if the AC is working or not unless you walk in and it's hot, like right now it's the summer.
Yeah.
So, you mentioned the smoke detectors, but you're not actually testing the smoke detector.
No.
You're just like, hey, if it's like hanging out and you see no batteries or anything, then it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So realistically, if someone just if it doesn't work and they just close it, then you don't know.
Yeah.
So that's really the difference. And then you mentioned like the GLA, which you mean is gross livable area.
Yeah. Square footage.
So obviously that's important to the buyer. And let's just face it, really the most important person, the person that has the interests of the appraisal is the lender, right?
Uh-huh.
Because most time we're getting the appraisal. A lot of cash deals, they don't get an appraisal, right?
Yeah.
But when you're getting financing, it's really the lender is the one who's interested because they want to know what they're lending the money on.
Yeah.
For the underwriter. So they want to check the square footage. They want to make sure that there's, and you say health and safety, but like they want the person, sometimes let's just say FHA, for example, because FHA, they put a lower amount down.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that when you put a lower amount down, the lender has a little bit more risk because if you're putting that 3.5% down, could someone walk away from that? I mean, it's still a lot of money, but yeah, versus when someone's putting like 30, 40% down, they're most likely not just to quit making payments and walk away from the house. And then also, in that situation, if you don't have a lot of money to put down and then your AC does go out or not working, that makes it a hardship for the homeowners.
Yeah, so FHA loans, that's where sometimes there's confusion because as a real estate appraiser, we do have different rules in terms of what we do during an inspection. But
What are some of the
that's,
different things? Like, let's say a conventional loan
yeah,
where someone puts, I mean, a conventional loan, you could put maybe 5% down or 20, 30%. So an FHA, they usually put a little bit less down.
yeah.
But in your experience as an appraiser, what would be some of the differences for the FHA versus a conventional loan?
So for an FHA loan, I am checking water pressure.
How would you do that?
I just turn on the faucet, turn on faucets in bathrooms, showers, kitchen. Is there hot water available?
So you're not checking like the inspector and seeing if it's
No,
between,
no.
whatever, 80, 70, and 80.
I'm turning on faucets
Okay.
and I'm turning on appliances. So very, very
So making
basic.
sure the stove's
Yeah,
working.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it lit up. It heats.
And that's it.
It's hot. I feel it. You
Okay.
know. Um, and then in terms of attic, we just pop our head in and take a picture.
Yeah,
Just
because that's one
saying.
of the requirements. You have to have a picture of the attic.
Yeah.
But you're not
Yeah.
crawling in there looking
No.
to make sure there's enough insulation.
No.
You're just taking a picture.
Yeah. It's really just about documenting.
Yeah.
And the reason that that's the reason why we do that for FHA loans is because the idea is that if someone only has X amount of money to put down on a loan, they don't have all this extra money to then try to fix things after they purchase a home. Because, there's a lot of costs that come after purchasing a home. So FHA just puts more regulations on how a walkthrough for an appraiser is.
Yeah.
I like to say walkthrough. I'm trying to change the
Right.
terminology, just because they want to really make sure that the buyer is taken care of in that sense.
Yeah, an inspection really, a home inspection, let's say, is really there for the buyers to kind of understand
Yeah.
what, more intricacies of the house, the plumbing, the electrical, things
Yeah.
like that. And a lot of times the lender or no one else receives any of that information.
Yeah.
And then the appraisal, what is the actual, so you do like your, they call it the inspection or the walkthrough.
Uh-huh.
But what is like the definition of an appraisal?
To provide an opinion of value. So, and that value can be very different, but in terms of lender, it's usually market value.
Yeah.
So it's not about the safety and health concerns. I'm documenting those, but in general, I'm providing a value, and an inspector is providing a very lengthy understanding of the structure and the home in general.
Yeah. And so now someone could go through the inspection and there may be things that are wrong with the house, but the buyer's okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. But then you come in as an appraiser and give us an example of maybe one or two things that you would see and then say, hey, this needs to be repaired. Well, you don't necessarily say it needs to be repaired, but you point things out.
Yeah. I am allowed to call certain things out if I feel.
What are a couple of those things you might have
So lead-based paint. So if it's an older home, and there's
prior to 1978.
Yes, 1978. Then if there's chipping and peeling paint on the exterior, the eaves, the siding of the home, even raw wood of the covered patio, I would call that out because that is a safety concern to me. Well,
Okay.
not to me, but most people.
Yeah. Well, it's part of the guideline of the lender.
Yeah.
So they need that painted properly, not chipping or peeling.
Yeah.
What other thing would you maybe reference just to give an idea of something else that you would see like an appraisal that would say needs to be done or is like a health or safety issue?
Yeah, sometimes I say if this is a concern to the lender to have have a specific professional come in and review it further. I say that I'm not that professional, but a lot of times it would be large cracks in ceilings
Okay.
or water stains. So it could be dry. I could say that I didn't smell any mold. It doesn't look fresh. There's no, potential current leaking. But if that was a concern to the lender, they might want to check it out.
Okay.
So, and I will ask homeowners about it. Hey, this leak on the ceiling, is this new? What happened? And then they'll say, oh yeah, it was from 5 years ago, the bathroom upstairs. There's a claim with our insurance. And so I provide all that information to the lender, and then they decide what they want to do with it.
Okay. Yeah, like say you saw some water stains, but then you go out there and you see it's obviously a new roof, and you ask them like, oh yeah, we just got this roof last week.
Yeah.
So obviously they remedied the cause, but it's just a cosmetic.
Yes, cosmetic.
At that point. So, okay.
And I would clarify in an appraisal, these are the things that appear to be cosmetic. These are the things that appear not to be.
Okay. All right. So very good thing. So yeah, a lot of people prepare for the inspection, and then they kind of just, the appraisal, they just kind of just let it go. But there are more aspects to it than just putting the value on it. You're looking at other aspects of the house.
Yeah,
as well.
a lot. That's for a different day, a different conversation. But in general, something that people ask is, do I need to make my bed? Or do I need to clean and do the dishes? We're not looking at stuff like that. We're trained to look beyond that. It's not about the personal property, the cleanliness, such like that.
Okay. So, in your opinion, so the inspection, obviously, the appraisal, the inspection looks at all the functions of things, and the appraisal looks at the value.
Yes.
So let's ask you, in your opinion, what is one thing that kind of adds value? Because everybody asks, oh, what if I did this or that to my house?
Yeah.
What kind of adds, what are like a couple things that actually you see add value to a house?
Yeah. I mean, kitchen, flooring, bathrooms. That's fairly easy. But then it gets into the level. Is it just updated or is it fully remodeled? But those are probably the easiest things I tell people. When you walk into a house, what's the first thing you see? It's usually the kitchen and the flooring. So sometimes bathrooms aren't necessarily the biggest value indicator, but yeah, a lot of people ask me questions, and the answer is usually it depends.
Yeah.
But in a general sense, kitchen and flooring.
Yeah, which obviously makes sense because those things are typically, it doesn't cost as much to paint or some things like that.
Yeah.
But redoing your kitchen and flooring and of course the bathrooms, those are the high dollar items in the house.
Yes, for sure.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks a lot. Really appreciate you kind of going over that, clarifying difference between a home inspection and a home appraisal.
Yeah.
And so if we have any other questions, we can reach out. What's your website again?
CopperStateAppraisal.com.
Okay.
Or you can reach me at 623-396-7946.
All right. So obviously we'd use you like with our lender, but why else would we maybe want to call you for an appraisal?
If you're getting a divorce,
Okay.
or say your dad died and you need to get an estate tax return. So I would do a date of death appraisal. I work with a lot of real estate agents for pre-listings. Hey, I have no idea where to price this house, or my seller thinks it's worth this much. I think it's worth this much. Maybe we should get an unbiased opinion. So stuff like that.
All right. Awesome. Okay. Well, great to have a current licensed appraiser to give us some more insight on what it is in the market and what an appraisal is. So appreciate your time, and thanks a lot.
Thank you.